Hey everyone.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Or for a majority of you, probably welcome for the first time to this weekly, actually twice a week. We're hosting the sessions twice a week. I see lots of new faces. Very good. That means that we have new and fresh blood looking to learn a little bit more about our ranking, just framework, how to use, stuff like that, which is absolutely amazing. Asha, Bob, Kenny, Red, Bronson, Jerry, Julie, all of you, welcome, welcome. So good to see you here. Hey everyone. Alrighty, we are recording this session, so just in case anyone wants to watch it later, you're going to be able to do that as well. I wanted to introduce my co-founders, Serkan here. Say hi, Serkan.
Hi,
And we have
hi,
Pankil here
everybody.
as well.
Hey guys.
And we also have Sapan here, who, if you have any questions, by the way, if you have anything pertaining to your specific, account case or whatever you have questions about your account, just email support@outranking.io, and Sapan is our customer support and customer success
Hi,
expert.
everyone.
He's going to be taking care of all of you. And I am giving the floor to Pankil to kick it off.
All right. Hey guys. So I'm really excited to see you all here. This is absolutely all new crowd. So amazing. Thank you all for joining Outranking. And today I'm going to show you the basic functionalities of the tool. We'll actually go through a process of creating an entire outline, generating some concepts, talking about everything that the platform does for an actual blog post. So this is a blog post that I'm actually trying to create today. This is my task for today. And I'm going to show you how I do outlines for this, how do I create concepts for it, and how do I write for it. So let's get started, and let me start sharing my screen. Okay, all right. So we are in the screen right here where we're creating new SEO document. So what I wanted to do was just quickly see what sort of a competition and what sort of a search volume this particular keyword has. Sure, you guys use SEMrush and quite a few other tools. That's okay too. You can do the research over there and then bring it here. Outranking is not mainly focused on keyword research. It's mostly focused on creating content after that. So this is a quick tool for most of you who are beginners and doesn't necessarily need those extensive tools to do some research for keywords. You can use this and it will do pretty much a decent job. So what I see here is that text summarization has a very large amount of volume. The competition is quite less. CPC, sure, I don't understand why would someone want to advertise here, but there's possibility that people are looking for text summarization tools and they want to advertise on this particular keyword. So I get a basic gist of it from here. Let's go ahead and create content for it. So since I'm creating, this is not a long tail keyword by any means, right? So what this really means is that this is going to be an in-depth post. If I want to rank for this, I need to cover tons and tons of areas in order to get past my competition and potentially outrank them. So just to bear in mind, the more specific you go, the narrower and the tighter your outline becomes. So if I was to talk about text summarization tools here, I only need to talk about different kinds of tools, whether it's GPT-3 and stuff like that. But imagine when I'm talking about text summarization here, I need to mention how it relates to Python. There are tools for it, how it relates to deep learning, abstractive, automatic. All of these things are really important for it. Sure, some might be an outlier and some you just don't want to mention. That's okay for your use case, but you're going to have to cover a pretty good deal of information in order to create this post. So I choose a topic where we can do tons of experimentation and I can show you guys how like really creating powerful outline looks like. So that's why I picked this particular topic. Let's go ahead and create one. Now this can take about 30 seconds to a minute, really depends on your bandwidth, your network bandwidth, and the kind of data that it's trying to fetch for this particular tool, text summarization. So it really depends. Just give it a few seconds. And if sometimes the connection breaks and there is a problem, you can just refresh the browser and it will load right back up. So now it's preparing the AI wizard. Now let's go ahead and start creating some titles. So mind that I'm talking about text summarization and I want to create a power page around it. So I really want to make sure that it's very cohesive and it's a wholesome post. So introduction to text summarization, techniques, types, methods, and code. This is a great title, but I can make it a little more broader. Instead of introduction to text summarization, I'm going to say complete guide. to text summarization. Okay, all right. And if you don't like this, you can obviously, so I'm just going to copy it right now. So in order for you to edit this, double click it. Okay, there's no single clicks. Single click will select the box. But if you double click it, it will actually edit it, and you can change it slightly a bit according to what you need, and then click next. Most times it will generate 5 titles at a stretch. So the point is not to give you granular control over how much output you want and like have you guys spend time on it. What we are really trying to achieve with AI Wizard and also going further is to get you closer to that first draft as fast as possible, and with minimal amount, with at least the least amount of hand gestures that you have to do. So just mind it, like, it's going to give you some suggestions. There's no way to control 1 or 2. It's going to give you either 1 or either 5, and it will choose based on the outputs and the quality of output it has recognized from your actions. So just let's select this one and go next. Now, when I create meta description, it's already keeping my title that I've created in mind. So what it will do now is try to create a meta description with the title in mind. Will give you something that's more closer to what you actually might be writing. Summarization is a great way to create short, punchy text. You can summarize web pages, blog posts, and even entire books. This guide will show you the basics and how to go about it in various ways. This is good, but it could be better. Learn how to summarize text using techniques such as sentiment analysis, natural language processing, and text summarization. I like this better. Actually, it's shorter, sure, but it's more punchful. And I feel like this better chance of Google picking this up just because it describes the context in a very tighter format. Okay, all right, let's select this and go next. It will start inserting and building out your outlines as you proceed. So now this outline right now, it generates tons and tons of ideas. What we have to do is use the ideas from it and create an outline. But this outlines that this particular wizard is generating, it's high level outlines. So that means that they're mostly your H2 tags. Sure, there can be H3 tags. It depends on really how you architect your post in terms of outline. But it's up to you to decide which ideas you want to use and use them to create outline. There's also a totally manual way of creating your outline by handpicking the ones that you want. And let me generate the outline, and then I will show you how you can start creating manually outlines too. Okay, let's create outline. Okay, all right. So it started creating. So I can see that there are certain things that I really like here. I'm not going to use them right now. I'm going to jump into, let's just add a couple first, and then we can jump into what is abstractive summarization. Okay, using T. We already selected this. Okay, let's just go ahead and add this. And I know that, okay, extractive text summarization in Python as well. Okay, let's go ahead and create an outline.
Well, Pankaj, can you explain in that section you are choosing some sentences? It means some concepts, but is there any option to change it or edit it? Why not? And what are you doing in that section?
Right. So in this section, what really happens is that we extract all the related keywords. Now, related keywords is the most important information that you want to include in your H2 tags, because that will drive a more potential reach. So the way we build out this outlines is by infusing this related keywords and some concepts from SERP to give you some, high level ideas. Now, this high level ideas, you can obviously double. This one does not have double click. You can edit them once they are actually in your outline builder. But until then, you can select the ones that you really want. And later you will get chances to organize them and format them proper and add more details to it. And we'll go through all of that as we proceed through this. Okay.
Actually, all those outputs are some related part of content that we will later generate more concepts, more content based on those things, and we can edit in the next screen, right?
Right, exactly. So this is your screen. You can obviously go ahead and edit it, and you can shuffle them around, like just minimize this, and you can shuffle them around. Okay, you can shuffle them around and do all of those things. But this outline is not complete yet. And like, there's no way I'm going to rank with just this amount of information. So what I will do is now, like, I need a builder where I will start curating all my outlines. So what I essentially did is just mirror this over here. So now I can go and navigate to different sections of SERP and see what I want to extract from it. So what is text summarization? What is abstractive text summarization? That falls under it. What is extractive summarization? That falls under it. So this section is done. We can just delete this. Okay, so I have what is abstract, what is text? No. Okay, what is an abstract summarization? Let's understand what is extractive text summarization, and then we can jump into more details. But this is like, this is where I'd probably want to start with. Now let's go ahead and see everything that everyone else has done and see if we can add more value. So this content is just not really great. They've only expanded on text summarization, abstractive and extractive. Types of text summarization. So what is text summarization? And then, okay, I like types of text summarization. Maybe it kind of gives me an intro paragraph for my extractive and abstractive. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and keep going here. Okay, abstractive, extractive is what most people talk about. Let's minimize this. Oh, okay, just a second. I think my screen has a bit of an issue here. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and look. Types of text summarization is where we were. Okay. So, okay, this is what the issue was. All right. Text summarization using NLT. And I'm just going to change that too. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is one of our sections. And let me push this up here. Okay. Now let's go back to sections and start adding the ones that we want. It's going to be plenty of information that we can include. So let's go to second. Summarization using ginseng with TextRank. So I know that this is talking about different kinds of tools to do text summarization. So what I would like to do is add maybe a high level of outline which talks about tools. Okay, let's do this. And then we can go through all the tools that we find. This is one of them. 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 This is not really that important, but what I will do is put GPT-3 here, and I'm sure we will find GPT-3 somewhere else, which we can add later on. Okay, summarization with T5 transformer. So this is talking about a Hugging Face library. This is talking about BART. This is talking about GPT-2 with XML transformers. Okay. All right. So now you get the gist of it. What I'm really trying to do here is make sure that I have the most powerful outline for this pillar page that I'm trying to create than any of my competitors. And the only way I can do that is by having an outline which talks about everything related to that particular topic. Okay. Let's cancel this. Okay. All right. So I have started adding some tools for text summarization, right? Now let's move this here. Okay. Okay. It's fine right now. Let's keep going. So similarly, I would then go like, it's what we see mostly over here is extractive. People have mostly just talked about extractive and abstractive summarization. There's very little context as to what are the use cases of it. And there's plenty of other things. So I know the space. And that is why I have some more insights onto what the more potential topics I can add. And I'm sure like whatever topic you are writing onto, you might have a little more insight into it. This will also help you. But okay, so this is now we're getting into what we would call some use cases and stuff like that. Application and systems for summarization. I really like this. And this is what exactly I'm talking about, is making sure your outline is more powerful than any of your competitors. And that is how you get ranked for it. Okay, so you get the idea. Once you start building out your outline, what I would do is go to your competition tab and what you need. So I'm creating a pillar page. So when I'm creating a pillar page, I like to target this or above that, just to make sure that my content has more depth to it. That this does not mean in any way that you need to do repetitive outlines or do keyword stuffing to get to that 37 section. So don't focus there. If you think that your 20 sections are enough to provide more value than any of your competitors, move on from it. Don't get fixated on it. But it is important to make sure this kind of gives you a gauge as well, right? Like every related keyword that's there in this particular data, you see is going to have to be mentioned, somewhere in your H2 tags. So the more keywords you have, the more outlines you are most likely going to have, because your competition is also trying to target some of those keywords that are being used in those related keywords, right? They align with your user intent, and that is why you want to highlight them. So types of text summarization, abstractive text summarization, I've used all of those in my important tags, H2s, H3s, which means that it'll be easier for Google to find our content and potentially help us drive more traffic. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this and we can go to our sections now. All right, so we have our sections right here, and so once you have your entire outline ready, that's when you start creating concepts. But even before that, right, what I would like to do is include questions and things that people are searching for, just to make sure what is text summarization in machine learning. And this is something that we can actually include in our content. So let's go. And you can easily just add any of these questions by clicking on plus sign. What is text summarization? How to do text summarization in Python? This is something that we really will have to talk about. So I just included that, has volume attached with it as well. Let's see, there's no social data for it. It's okay. We can move on and go to our sections. Okay, so now it's time to talk about how do we go about building out the content for this? And the basic fundamental thing behind creating content for this, don't have any idea on what summary. I'm mostly going to go to research, find information from it. Let's just click on it so you guys can see. So I will most likely go here. I will find all the information from it and then use it in order to create content. It's going to take time. You are going to have to read and find those sections and then make sense of them, find certain aspects of it to include in your content and then write around it. So what concepts help you do is that it will do this research for you and bring that information out so you can then start executing your content. And you can also add your own custom URL. So let's say, for example, you found a topic on text summarization on a third-party website, and you really want to use that instead. You add that URL in here and read it well when you are claims as well. So it's possible, and it will be more than you will face this more than 10 to 15% of the time, where you generate concepts and either the concepts are not that great or they are not really what you really are, what you were expecting. That's because the SERP does not have that information, which is good enough. So what you need to do is do a little research, find that URL, and paste it here if you just want to forget about it. And our concepts will start reading through that. Okay, so let's go back to sections, and I can show you guys how we create a concept. Okay, so it starts exploring into what is a text summarization. Automatic text summarization is a common problem in machine learning. Summarization involves outlining the major points, and this is what I probably want to talk about. There are two different approaches to using summarization, extractive and abstractive, right? So if I was trying to build out this particular section, I could literally just do that. Let's see if there is. Okay, so what I can really do is that let's start talking about text summary. So what I want to do is write an intro paragraph first. So I will say, let's just select that and go with this instruct command. So what we're doing here is asking the specific instructions. Okay, let's see if it produces anything. Good enough. If not, just rewrite it and do it again. Okay. All right. So now it starts getting into something that we want. Text summarization, the process of summarizing an article, book, or any other written pieces so that the reader just of its content. It helps people have reading. I can continue. I can add some more to it and keep writing for it. If I don't like for it, you just create your own particular paragraph and then expand it or use some other technique to do that. But let's start creating the content for our text summarization. So what I would do is let's paste this in here. Automatic text summarization involves outlining the text and major problems. Okay, so I want to build on that. Okay. And then what I want to do, and then you can start talking about all of these things over here. So from the looks of it, what I can see is that my content is not very well structured. So what I need to do is maybe bring this in here. Okay, all right, and forget about this. So we'll just start talking about abstractive and extractive here. So now let's say I want to talk about two different approaches using summarization. Let's expand upon that. Okay, what happened? There we go. Okay, so abstractive and extractive. So original sentence given relevant. Okay, all right. Then you can adjust it, combine the paragraphs, and transition it. And there will be more features that will allow it to automatically transitioning paragraphs by itself when you're ending up on context. Right now, you might have a little bit of editing in order to combine this to paragraph and make it a seamless. Let's start writing more towards it. So now extractive text summarization. I only want to see every around extractive method of summarization, right? So there's plenty of content that you can see. What many people like to do is start building out their graphs based on concepts, and they are laid out in form of discussion. So understand what will go on. Just a second. Okay, there we go.
Can you explain it what for me?
Right. So the reason why I clicked write for me here on this section, what it can read is it can read certain text about the fold. It can read your A3 tags, H2 tags. It can read your title. It can read quite a bit of your context about the fold as well, and make sure that you are writing cohesive with the paragraph. So it will do proper transition and help you really build upon the context. You are talking about treadmills, like someone just did a video best treadmills about yesterday or today or maybe last year, and nobody knows what Peloton is, and you can put it in a category as well. Is important when you are expanding when you are AI to write for you, and that is why this important context in mind while helping you finish sentence paragraphs. Content, and you can start adding your paragraph, right? Like attempts to summarize articles. Okay, there we go. So you can among this particular concepts and start building out your paragraph. So this is the most powerful way to go about conducting very tightly aligned. Okay, so let's say that I have a very abnormal outline and that nobody on the SERP has talked about it. So what I want to talk about here is GPT Neo. Okay, this is probably not the right abbreviation, and we don't use this product, so I don't really I know about it. I just don't know if this is the right abbreviation or not. And this can be used for text summarization too, and I guarantee you there's nobody on the SERP that has talked about it. So let's see if we are able to find content for it. Nope. You could not find any concepts related to this topic. Please use settings to add content for it. So now what I will do, GPT Neo, this is GPT Neo, and let's look at some notes over here. Pre-trained model. So this is just a basic understanding and training guide. This is like going right into how to set up GPT-3, GPT Neo. Just let's find something more specific, right? So, okay, here it is. Maybe. GPT Neo is implemented okay, so let's just copy this. And in many cases, you will find tons other different information that you can include. But for this use case, let's just copy and paste this particular content in here. I don't want to read it. I don't need to necessarily sleep over it and remember it tomorrow. So I just paste it in here. Let's go ahead and create concepts for it. It will start creating concepts from your existing text. So GPT Neo is an implementation for model and data parallel GPTs, right? Now, we're talking about text summarization. We're talking about GPT Neo, and these concepts are not talking about text summarization at all. How do you expect the AI to know that GPT Neo can help you with text summarization? That's unknown, right? Like that would be left to the humans. So what this will help you do is that it will start help you building up concepts, keeping all of these things in mind. So I could say GPT Neo is a tool actually, right? So let's just actually just has a little better context. The way I would go about doing it is put tools for text summarization as H2 and then GPT Neo as an H3, so it understands the context better. But you can pretty much do this as well. And now let's see if it can tie this in. Chances are that it might not be able to. Chances are that, oh, there we go. This tool is a large corpus of text summarization, and maybe not. You can be the judge for it, but you understand that it can start blending, it can start understanding your context and write based on that. And it is also writing on factual data because you collected this data from research. We collected this data from research. So it's absolutely factual. There's no fact checking required. Sure. Sometimes plagiarism checking is required. Like that's not avoidable, but the way we build out concepts is that we don't extract sentences from existing content. We extract concepts, and concepts are uniquely rewritten already and summarized to a second grader. So they are totally different than what you would find in an existing content already. And then when you use develop to create content around it, what happens is that it builds upon that constant context again and does a majority of the rewriting again. So chances are that your final output and the final result that you get put together is going to have very minimal plagiarism issues in it. So I built the content yesterday, and I got a plagiarism score of 7%. Right? This was 5,000 words that I wrote yesterday, and I got 7% plagiarism score. It was barely a few sentences that I could barely make sense of, that why I would even be considered in a plagiarism. But it's possible that this happens. So make sure that at the end you go and edit and make sure that your content is not plagiarized.
I want to emphasize one thing: the power of outranking AI is, and also very unique difference is, you are able to feed AI with your custom content, custom text. So Pankaj has just used GPT Neo related some text which are not in the search results, and feed the AI to create some concepts related content. So guys, this is really, really powerful. Can you show again another example, Pankaj, using their custom text, custom content to generate?
Right. So let me give you guys a few examples of this custom text and custom concepts. And for that, just forget about this particular use case. We'll just create a random product and we'll experiment with the different kinds of concepts. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Let's say if you are writing a product blog, right? Like for example, let's say if I was writing about outranking and I have the text, I have the knowledge, I have a PDF, I have some written material, or I have some written material that my clients gave me, and I need to build upon that. You can use that custom text as well. And for this example, let's just select something that is so random and so unstructured, and that it would take you time to understand and craft a particular content around it. So what I'm going to do is treadmill on Amazon. Let's go ahead and find a treadmill on Amazon. Treadmills. Okay, none of this look cheap, but we'll find something. All right. So let's go ahead and see. This is a particular content, right? Like you are given a task to write content for it, and you have no idea what this product does. And you just don't have time, 2 hours, to understand what everything this product is doing. So what I can do is just copy this particular content, and you can pretty much copy the entire page if you want, and you don't even need to make sense of it. You can just copy it. Like all of these, like I can keep it here. Okay. Now what I can do is create content for it. Look, a few ways when you create content for it. Okay, it's too much to think. All right, can you hear me? I lost my connection for a second. Okay, back to sections. Okay, all right. So let me open up. And okay, so we already have content in here. Now let's go ahead and generate concept. So for some reason it is, and maybe it's a special characters. Okay, something is potentially. Oh, I know just small bug in here. I need to place an H2 tag in here. So let me go ahead and do that. Sections.
And it's good to see that, because it means that outranking AI uses your titles to create concepts. So it's more SEO optimized, more relevant.
Okay, so it started generating all the concepts for it. Now, these concepts essentially are unstructured, right? Like they are presented in a way as if you were discussing this in a paragraph, but that's not what you want. You want to list out concise features for this particular product, and you want to build specific sections that outlines the benefits, the disadvantages, the complaints customers have, and the problems product have, and your conclusions around it. So what I can do is go ahead and select features. Now this will try and extract more features around that particular product. So 6-layer running belt, 6-layer elastic cushion belt. And you can understand that this is probably laid out better than what you can see in Amazon. And this is already unique. So what you can do is just copy that particular product in, and then start copying your content as a bullet form if you wanted to. Also, let's say, so this is one way of going about and creating content for product-based blogs. And this could be any product, doesn't matter, any nuanced technology. It will understand what that nuanced technology is about and how it correlates to your title, your heading, subheading, and other text in your particular content. But let's see, there's other ways you can create content for things like this as well. So it has a built-in sentiment analysis that can identify what someone is trying to talk about, even when they don't know that they're trying to convey that. So let's go here and see some reviews, right? So this is a positive plus negative review. So they have some complaints probably and some good things to say about it. This is where someone has all good things to say about the product only. So what I'm going to do is let's use this good things and see if we can extract good and the bad things that could potentially arise from using this particular product. So let's go ahead and click on benefits. So because it's a positive note, we'll get tons of benefits out of it. It is an affordable treadmill. It is relatively easy to assemble. It is quiet. So you understand all the benefits of this particular treadmill. And you did not have to come up with these benefits. It did the sentiment analysis based on the text that someone else has written and came up with benefits for it. Similarly, you can come up with disadvantages. So chances are that you'll get less disadvantages because the text is all positive. But let's see if it is able to extract things that even the user who wrote the testimony did not know things about. So it can be noisy in certain cases, not enough weight capacity. Well, that's something that we did not talk about. Not a high quality product. Speed is limited to 1 mph. So let's see if this was something that's good. And 5 stars, but yet they had complaints about this 3 particular things. So you can use this to construct your paragraphs, your in detail view, and your conclusions, and how you summarize for a particular product very easily based on factual data. Now, this is enough with the outline and creating the content. What I will really show you guys is how you go about optimizing it as well, right? So you might have an existing content piece and you want to make sure that it ranks better in Google, or you want to make sure that the content that you've written through other platforms, you can bring it here and you can score it. So how the scoring works is that it keeps in mind the title, your meta description, your heading, your sections, the usage of questions, your topic coverage. Topic coverage will go through each of these tabs as well. Your topic coverage, related keywords, and your URL. So all of these have a percentage attached to when it comes to how Google scores and ranks content. Nobody has the right math to it. We build our own in order to come up with a scoring method that can help you get there. Most other tools would only score you based on topic coverage. It's a good way to make sure that your content is great and it covers all the individual areas, but that will it requires you, doesn't mean that I'm going to rank for it. I need to use it in the right places. So what Outranking is suggesting, and everything that we do with automation, with AI, or even with manual, reflects our suggestions on how you go about creating SEO optimized content, which is important. Writing long form can still be easier, but writing SEO long form is more difficult because you need to abide and adhere to many things that Google likes. So let's go ahead and look at our instructions tab. And as I go through all of these, we will explore all of these tabs over here and their individual functionalities as well. You can go back to AI by clicking here. This is meta title. We're suggesting that you go over 50, you can go over 60, 65, 70. They are all good. So what we're saying is that do not go less than 60, guys. Go more than 50, and make sure that your outline, that your title consists of text and summarization, both of this particular keywords. Okay, so let's see if I want to see what other title ideas that people have written around. You can go ahead and see what others have written around the top 20 results. You can also see the highest frequency keywords. It's two people who have mentioned introduction. So we didn't really recommend you use this. We recommended this. And this is based on what majority of the people have used. Some people have used it twice. That's crazy. I wouldn't want to use summarization twice in any heading. But you can see that this is why we have recommended, what we've recommended is data driven. And this is, for this particular example, you see text summarization. So you see text summarization, but there will be cases, let's say, for example, you are doing a best lawyer and your location is Houston. In that case, many times this highest frequency keyword will also have Houston in it, which is suggesting that, hey, you are optimizing your blog post for Houston, although that's not your primary keyword. We want you to include that in your content. So use this. It's very powerful. It can understand many other things and bring those suggestions together to help you create titles. Let's go back to instructions. Then it comes to optimizing your title. We need to make sure that you use some of these keywords. And the more you use it, so it has a scoring factor, automatic text summarization, AI text summarization. So how I can make my title more powerful. Let's see. So I have 74, so I got a tick mark here, but I can still use many more things here. So techniques, so there's extractive, abstractive, machine learning, and using different techniques. So I could say a complete guide to text summarization instead of this. This is nonsense. Like, this is not going to help me get ranked in Google. But what I can do is somehow add the element of extractive, abstractive with machine learning and using NLP. Let's see if this does any better. And you will start seeing the use of it. Like, this is more powerful. The reason this is more powerful is because now you can just imagine how many queries you can actually potentially rank for this particular title, right? This just elevates the game for you and helps you, get that better exposure. So if it was me, I would see Google is going to read the first 60 characters, which is okay, but it is still going to emphasize the remaining part of it just as important as is the meta title. So you can go over it, you can add more information to it, make sure that you're covering majority of the areas. Don't try to go too crazy and write 2 paragraphs in your title that is not readable. Google does not like it, and I guarantee you will not rank for it. So you have to find the right balance, not too short, sure, but you miss out on opportunities. Too long, not readable, right in between is where you want to target. And you can go about 50. Make sure that your first 50 to 60 characters include the main keyword that you want to rank for, and then you can start including some other ones as well. And you can do the similar tactic for targeting more keywords in your H1 tag as well. Just make sure that your H1 and your title is not totally different and talking about 2 totally different things. So it's important that they are, aligned, and you can target more keywords in it as well. So let's go past this meta title, and this is meta description. So we're suggesting 160 characters. We only have 125. That's because we generated using AI, and we like the output of it, but that doesn't essentially mean that it is the most optimized. So let's see if we can make it a little better, right? And sure, we can talk about, again, extractive, abstractive, machine learning, AI text generation. So this is like a paragraph, right? Like, so I could start elaborating more on so in this, and you can just go about finishing this particular abstractive, and you can just go about building out your entire paragraph, or at least your meta description, start targeting some of those keywords, and go about building your content. This is what will drive discovery in SEO, not any other tactic. So make sure you start including your right keywords in your content in the right places that we are suggesting. So you can keep going. For some reason, people have used pre. It's okay. You don't need to use pre. And that is why your requirements are met. And you have a tick mark over here. Then you can go to sections. I showed you this earlier. You can also navigate through all the sections of SERP by going to sections from SERP. You can also use HFW to narrow it down. So let's say these are all the important things that people have talked about in their content. And I like to go everything about like two at least. So I would ignore everything around one. But like, look at this, right? Like you can carefully curate and add all of these things. So let's see how many people have talked about Python. Sorry. Okay, so let's select Python, clear. Okay. Okay, let's just start working. So you can see that how many people have talked about summarization and everything around summarization. So some people like this format better when they're creating their outline. It kind of gives them a clustered view of what everything around summarization could be included in your content. And similarly, you can go through all the other ones and see which ones you want to include. What we do recommend is that when you go to instructions, all of these keywords to include in your H2 or H3 tag. And we also recommend the highest frequency words that you need to include in your title. So you need to talk about an introduction. You need to have learn, evaluation, learning as an important keywords no matter what in your content. And all the other ones are listed in your highest frequency keyword data right here, up on top right here. So you can filter through them and make sure you cover as many topics in a cohesive way that you can. Let's go back to instructions. Okay, so we went through mapping out your keywords for your instructions. Now it's time to add more questions. So you will see what, I'm not sure why is it repeating 4 times, but okay, you will start seeing the ones that you have used and the ones that you can use in your content. And once you have used at least 4 questions, you can move on and start targeting the other section. And the last one is URL. Okay, so this is basically it for optimization. Now let's go ahead and look at starting from here. We looked at everything else from here. Let's look at topic coverage. What topic coverage is giving you is that these are the important topics that people have created content around, and it's really up to you and your style, like which ones to make sure that I cover everything that makes sense to me. And this is 1 word. You can do 2 words. This will give you a little better data. And okay, it's because I imported a URL that has fat and stuff in it, but all right. So 3 ones as well. And you can see the ones that you need to include in here. And you can also see clusters. And these are clusters. I'm not sure why people are ranking for junk food in here, but we'll see. Okay, so text summarization, and you can see all the clusters around it. If you are covering a particular cluster in your content, this button will turn green. And similarly, there is current density. This is showing you the density of your current content. Now, many people go about and say that, you know what, you need to create content around your topics and how many times you want to use a particular keyword in your content. That's not true. And it will not lead to a better ranking, guys. That just means that you are tactically creating content, making sure that you use a keyword 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. That's utter nonsense. The way you go about creating content is making sure there's quality, making sure that you cover the topics and not how many times you cover a topic. It's important to cover a topic and as best as you can and not focus on using a particular keyword many times. So try and avoid that method, or at least that's my opinion. And people have different ways of creating content, but that's the furthest away from how I would go about creating content. Once you have all the topics that you need to cover, you can go to related keywords. And this related keywords, you will see S here. That means that it was mentioned in SERP, the first 20 pages, 526 times. Text summarization in R is the language, it was mentioned 156 times. So you understand like which are the keywords that you want to include in your content no matter what. And once you start using them in your headings, you will start seeing this green tick boxes. But let's say if you use them in content, there's still scoring for that. Let me just paste it here and then do the refresh score. And you will see I started using this. I'm using this in content. And if I select it, it will show me where I've used it as well. If I select this, it will show me where I've used it as well. So this is for you to easily map out what are the important keywords and where you need them and what you should absolutely use. So it's tons and tons here that you can potentially use. And they are all arranged based on the significance from SERP. So if there's one mention, you will start seeing them at the very end. And what that means is that it can get a little repetitive, or it can start talking about areas where you don't want to dive into, or there's clearly a disconnect between the user intent with some of those keywords. So carefully and try and make sure you include as many keywords as you can, which have SERPs in it. You can obviously also look at the ones that don't have it and include the ones. So there's a text summarization tool on AWS. Spacey is a text summarization tool that you can talk about as well. And we talked about it, but the SERP is probably mentioning it in a different way. There's Salesforce text summarization. I have no idea about it, but that's potential that it's possible that it could be there, right? So I want to cover as much as I can. And sure, like this is a power page, so I'm going in so much detail and I want to include as much information that I can from SERP. You can also add your own keywords from the list. So if you feel like this keyword list is not sufficient for you, you want to optimize your post with more keywords, you can bring in your keywords manually. You can just dump all the keywords in here, and it will start scoring you for that. Or you could also find a different search query or a different keyword and pull related keywords around that. So if I wanted to specifically elaborate on the AWS text summarization, then I could add AWS summarization and then click save. It will go and fetch all the related keywords around AWS text summarization and add them to your editor. So you can start scoring them as well. Okay. We went through this. All right. Let me go to research now. So
we are almost on the end of the time. Can you make it more brief and then?
Yes, absolutely. So that's why I'm just getting to the last research section, which we have. The questions will do scoring based on our algorithm and how powerful the content is. You can clearly see this keyword right here, 6,000 words. This has more, but this has better optimized content, and it shows you a DAPA. So don't say that, hey, this is 89, I swear there's 83, 85, 80. Really helps you to is gauge where you can be and where you stand in SERP and how that will potentially impact your ranking. Nothing more than that. Like I would just not go into the weeds of it. That's okay. Backlinks have, again, data also, it's constantly changing, but make sure of that. And if you want to read into any post, you can also obviously click and you can post in here. You can do the post by entering any keyword in here, or you can also do expand. So that pretty much covers the entire editor, and happy to answer any questions anyone has. I know we just reached about an hour, but there's plenty of new faces, and I will make sure that I cover everything that can help you get started.
There's one question from Bob, and he's asking, is the goal to have all the step-by-step instructions with a check mark?
Yes. So the goal is to have all the instructions check boxes full. Yes. In some cases, it's completely not possible because what we're suggesting or what the SERP is suggesting is not aligned with your use case. You can ignore those and consider that, you know what, you've optimized it as much as you can. But your score does not depend on the final checkbox. It depends on all the individual information in it. So your score will start improving. What we do suggest is 95 as possible. That other question. Okay. Second, do you see any other?
No, Second has been answering lots of questions in the chat, so that's really it.
And also answering as a private and general, but people come to here and talk about what they have issue or what's their questions. It's a chance to speak.
Yes, absolutely, guys. Any questions you have, anything that we can do to help you get started faster, love to answer any of the questions that you guys have. We always have our Facebook community where you can ask questions. And email support if you have anything, but please ask any questions that you guys have. All the things that you see over here might be a little overwhelming. What I do recommend is that you spend some credit, go to the product and experiment yourself, learn from the mistakes that you make on the software. That's going to be the best way to learn, because it will help you understand how to navigate around some challenges that your specific use case has using the platform. The platform is very capable. You can do many things, and most things can be custom tailored to your need. You just need to find the right way and the right tune to make it work for you. So happy to answer any questions here or in the group, or you can reach out to us if there's no other questions.
Looks like that's really it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today, and look forward to chatting with you again this Thursday. Right, Pankil? We're going to have another session this Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. We have one more on Thursday, and we'll cover different niches. And just feel free to email us any niche that you'd like us to cover. Happy to cover that as well. We've created tons of videos on YouTube as well, which can help you get started with different niches. So I highly recommend that you go to YouTube channel and look at all the videos and subscribe if you have not. So every time we post a new video, you would get an automatic notification on how to go about creating content for that specific use case.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. The recording of this session is going to be posted in the Facebook group as well. Also, I just dropped a link. Check out the summit that we're hosting next week. We hope to see you there. Bye, everyone.